Hello everyone, today we're diving into every warlord of the sea in the world of One Piece. The world government's genius plan of recruiting the worst pirates alive and putting them on payroll. These warlords were powerful, terrifying, ridiculous, and sometimes straight up embarrassing. Let's go through them one by one. Their powers, their goals, and most importantly, why some of them deserve respect and others deserve a clown nose. Dracula, Mihawk, the world's strongest swordsman. He is the only warlord who doesn't need a crew, a kingdom, or even dialogue. His sword does all the talking. Mihawk is the peak of swordsman flexing. His black blade, Yoru, is one of the strongest swords in the world, and his skill with it is unmatched. He casually destroyed fleets in the East Blue and humiliated Zoro with a pocket knife. Calm, collected, and terrifying, Mihawk is the true king of duelists. His role in the story is simple but massive. He's the ultimate benchmark for Zoro. Every swing of Mihawk's blade is a reminder of how far Zoro has to go. As one of the cross-guild leaders now, Mihawk is back in the game, aligning himself with Crocodile and, unfortunately, Buggy. Until Zoro surpasses him, Mihawk remains the undefeated champion of swordsmanship and a quiet reminder that the warlords weren't all clowns, some were gods. Mihawk is the final boss you fight in a game's tutorial, just to remind you how weak you are. Buggy the Clown. Buggy is living proof that you don't need strength, brains, or dignity to make it big in One Piece, just luck and a good marketing team. Buggy's Chop Chop fruit makes him immune to slicing, which sounds terrifying until you realize most enemies don't fight with butter knives. His real superpower is surviving situations that should have killed him 3 times over. Once a cabin boy on Roger's ship, Buggy went from sidekick clown to Yonko by accident, and it's hilarious. But here's the thing, Buggy plays a bigger role in the story than people admit. His fame drags in weaker pirates who fuel his legend, which creates entire armies who think he's unstoppable. During Marineford, Buggy basically live-streamed the war and walked away with millions of new followers. In the grand scheme of One Piece, Buggy is proof that image and perception are just as powerful as hockey. He's the series' best-running gag, and now a literal emperor of the sea. Buggy didn't climb the pirate ladder, he tripped on it, fell upward, and somehow landed in a throne room. Boa Hancock. Boa Hancock is the deadliest pirate alive, unless you're Luffy, in which case she's basically a fangirl with Conqueror's hockey. Hancock is the pirate empress, the snake princess, and the ultimate queen energy of One Piece. Her love fruit can turn men into stone with a glance, and with all 3 types of hockey, she's terrifying in combat. She commands the Kuja pirates, a crew of warrior women who worship her like royalty. But behind her arrogance, she melts into a blushing mess whenever Luffy's around. Hancock's story role is huge. She's one of the strongest women in the series and a rare ally to Luffy when the world turned against him. During Marineford, she openly defied the Marines just to protect him. Her connection to the Celestial Dragons, as a former slave, also deepens her character and gives her motives beyond just being a beautiful fighter. Hancock isn't just fan service, she's a powerhouse and a symbol of freedom from oppression. She could conquer the seas, but instead she's out here practicing how to become Mrs. Monkey D. Luffy. Gecko Moria. Gecko Moria is the kind of guy who calls himself Kaido's rival, but now needs a nap after walking up a flight of stairs. Once Kaido's rival, Moria now waddles around like a washed-up goth who peaked 20 years ago. His shadow fruit is insanely broken. He can steal shadows, implant them into corpses, and create zombie giants to do his bidding. Instead of training or improving, he hides behind his army like a depressed necromancer on vacation. His crew, the Thriller Bark Pirates, is basically Halloween Town with trauma. Moria's role in the story is deeper than people give him credit for. He represents what happens when pirates lose everything to Kaido's overwhelming strength. His obsession with zombies is a twisted attempt to rebuild what Kaido took away. And while Luffy defeating him made him look weak, his connection to Kaido sets him up as a cautionary tale, the first pirate to show us just how impossible beating a Yonko once seemed. In short, Moria isn't a warlord, he's the babysitter for zombies who still thinks he's relevant. Sir Crocodile. Crocodile is what happens when a mafia boss discovers moisturizer and then moves to the desert to make life everyone else's problem. With the sand fruit, he can drain the life from opponents, whip up sandstorms, and bury kingdoms under dunes. He's stylish, ruthless, and calculating, the first real mastermind villain Luffy ever had to overcome. His one weakness is water, which turned him from desert god to mud puddle victim. But even then, Crocodile remained a menace. In terms of story role, Crocodile was the first to show the true danger of the Warlord system. He nearly toppled an entire country from the inside, proving that pirates with government protection were scarier than the ones without it. Later, he reappears in Marineford, clashing with admirals and Yonko commanders, and surviving. Crocodile's ambitions are bigger than ever. He's not done yet, and the seas should be worried. Crocodile is terrifying, unless you bring a $2 water gun. Jinbei. Jinbei is the most responsible man in One Piece, which automatically makes him stand out in a world of maniacs. His fishman karate lets him manipulate water itself, turning the ocean into a weapon, and his haki makes him a nightmare in close combat. In the sea, Jinbei is untouchable, but even on land, he's held his own against monsters like Ace, Big Mom, and Who's Who. He's basically the tank every crew wishes they had. Jinbei's role in the story is massive. He was one of the first fishmen to stand alongside humans as equals, bridging the gap between the two worlds. He fought in Marineford to protect Ace and Whitebeard's ideals, and ultimately joined the Straw Hats as their helmsman. More than just muscle, Jinbei is a leader, a strategist, and a symbol of hope for Fishman Island's future. Jinbei isn't a warlord. He's the ocean's dad, making sure everyone eats their vegetables before fighting Kaido. Bartholomew Kuma. Kuma is the only man alive who can send you on vacation against your will. With the pawpaw fruit, he can repel anything. Physical attacks, people, even intangible things like pain or fatigue. He can send you flying across the world with a gentle boot. But behind that godlike power is one of the most tragic stories in One Piece. Once known as the Tyrant, Kuma sacrificed his freedom and humanity to become a government weapon, protecting her daughter Bonnie while losing himself. Kuma's role in the story is heartbreaking and vital. He saved the Straw Hat by scattering them across the world, which forced each of them to grow stronger. He stood guard over the Sunny for years, protecting it even as his mind faded away. He's one of the greatest silent allies Luffy ever had. His story represents the cruelty of the world government's experiments and the cost of kindness in a brutal world. And in Egghead, we saw his devotion shine again, protecting his daughter Bonnie and proving that beneath the title of Tyrant was always a father's love. And that's what Kuma really is. Not just one of the warlords, but one of the most selfless men in the seas. Don Quixote Doflamingo. Doflamingo is what happens when you give a sociopath unlimited power, pink feathers, and sunglasses from a gas station. His string fruit lets him control people like puppets, slice cities apart, or stitch his own organs back together like he's his own doctor. Add in all three forms of haki, his control of the black market, and his loyal Don Quixote family. Doflamingo's role is one of the most impactful. He's not just a warlord, he's royalty, a fallen celestial dragon who turned his bitterness into tyranny. He ruled Dressrosa like a dictator, enslaving people with his strings while pretending to be a hero. Doflamingo is the perfect example of how dangerous a warlord could be when ambition, power, and cruelty collide. He's stylish, he's powerful, and he's still just a flamingo who desperately needs therapy. Trafalgar Law. Law is everyone's favorite cool-headed surgeon of death. His Opie fruit lets him create a room where he's basically God, teleporting, swapping bodies, cutting people without killing them, and even granting immortality. His swordsmanship, haki, and intelligence make him one of the most versatile fighters in the series. Add in his submarine crew, the Heart Pirates, and Law is one of the strongest new generation pirates. Law's role in the story is enormous. He started as a warlord, but his real goal was revenge against Doflamingo for destroying his childhood. Partnering with Luffy, he helped topple Doflamingo and later stood toe-to-toe with Kaido and Big Mom. Law isn't just a side character, he's a rival and ally rolled into one. In the end, Law represents a new generation of warlords who became true legends. Law's powers are god tier, but let's be real, he's still the pirate equivalent of that emo kid who brings a katana to high school. Blackbeard. Blackbeard looks like he hasn't showered in decades, but he's the only man bold enough to steal Whitebeard's throne. His Yami no Mi controls darkness, nullifies other devil fruits, and makes him a nightmare to fight. Then he stole Whitebeard's Gura no Mi, giving him world-breaking earthquake powers. Combined with haki and a stacked crew, he's the only man in history with 2 devil fruits, and the ambition to use them both. His laugh is annoying, but his threat is real. In the story, Blackbeard is the ultimate opportunist. He manipulated his way into the Warlord system, used it to get what he wanted, and then threw it away once he became a Yonko. He scared Shanks before the series even began, captured Ace to ignite Marineford, and now hunts down other powerful pirates to steal their powers. Blackbeard isn't just another villain. He's Luffy's ultimate opposite, the rival destined to fight him for the One Piece itself. Blackbeard looks like his breath could kill you before his devil fruits do. Edward Weevil. Edward Weevil is what you get when you mix Whitebeard's DNA with a sack of potatoes and then let his mom do all the talking. Weevil looks like Whitebeard if someone tried to remake him from memory after a bad hangover. But don't laugh too hard. This man has raw, terrifying strength. Kizaru compared him to young Whitebeard, and Weevil has wiped a few of Whitebeard's allied crews like they were ants. Controlled entirely by his mother, he's essentially a one-man demolition crew on a leash. He's meant to represent the ghost of Whitebeard's legacy. Weevil is the messy, tragic wildcard tied to Whitebeard's name. His goal, to claim Whitebeard's inheritance. Whether he's a fraud or a powerhouse waiting for a spotlight, Weevil is a ticking time bomb in the New World. He's scary, sure, but let's be real. He's basically Whitebeard ordered from Temu. Hanafuda. Hanafuda is the Warlord equivalent of an NPC side quest boss, dangerous for 5 minutes, then forgotten forever. His weapon, a massive kusarigama with a spiked ball, made him a deadly close-range fighter. He was obsessed with collecting zone fruits, which could have made him extremely dangerous if his plans ever succeeded. Hanafuda's role is mostly historical. He was defeated by Ace, paving the way for Kuma to take his place as a warlord. While he didn't leave a major impact on the grand story, his existence shows just how many pirates held the warlord title. It reminds us that not every warlord was a legend. Some were just stepping stones for greater pirates and will forever be One Piece filler that Oda forgot to air. And that's every single warlord of the sea explained. Supposed to bring order, but instead the government hired a clown, a goth zombie hoarder, and a flamingo in sunglasses. Some were legends, some were disasters. All made One Piece unforgettable. Who's your favorite warlord, and who do you think is the most overrated? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because we'll keep breaking down more anime legends.